Thank you guys for tuning in to the Bearded Browns podcast. Today we have a special guest joining us. He will be at the Legends Bowling Meet and Greet event in New Philadelphia, Ohio. That is going to be presented by the Tuscarawas County Browns backers and the TMDE Sports Group. It's on June 21st from 12 to 5. But this guy's not only a former Cleveland Brown, but he's a true legend of the game, an iconic college football star from the University of Oklahoma, two-time All-American, two-time Heisman Trophy finalist, drafted in the second round, pick number 34, by the way, from your Cleveland Browns. He made a stunning impact right away, rushing for 5,600 yards, scoring 27 touchdowns during his 9 seasons with the Browns, earning 4 Pro Bowl selections when it actually meant something, by the way. Please welcome College Football Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, one of the most exciting players to wear the brown and orange, Mr. Greg All-Purpose Yards Pruitt. Let's go.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today. This is a good one. I talked to my dad about it. He was pretty excited. He's like, "You're going to have him on your show." He remembers watching. I was in the beginning of the show. I was talking to my oldest daughter about you, and I'm actually excited to have you on the show. We have something queued up, right, guys?
No, I didn't get any video. I didn't want to. I mean, I wanted to. I really did, but I didn't have time last night.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But we posted some stuff about you, Greg, and it's going to continue. We're going to continue posting stuff about you. We're actually getting ready to write a story about you as well. And not your brother, Mike Pruitt.
Not to be confused, correct.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been mistaken a lot over the years, huh, Greg?
Yeah, brother from another mother.
There you go. Right.
Literally. Yeah, that's funny.
So, Sam, you got the first question, man. Let her rip.
So I was doing a little. Me and the wife was doing a little digging, man, and we came across some old footage, man. I want to say it was back in 1991. You were on a American Gladiator show.
Oh, yeah.
So the wife looked at me
with the lime green.
Yeah. The wife goes, "Did you know that Greg was on the American Gladiators?" I said, "No way." I said, "Let's watch it." So we watched it, man. It was great. You actually did really good on there, man. You made it to the finals, and it was fun to watch you go out there and do your thing. You set like a record on their Atlas Ball thing that you were in, and that was awesome, man. How much fun was that? That had to be fun to do, man.
Oh, I hadn't heard about it until they called me and invited me to be on the show. But my son had watched the show, and I told him, I said, "Well, I'm gonna be on that," and he said, "You in trouble."
The funny part was when they lined you up with those two girls at the end, and they looked like they were like the offense or the defensive line, and you squared up with them. You're like, "Let's do this," and then you guys joked everybody out.
Yeah, that was great. I watched the whole thing, man, on Sunday. It was nice. It was nice to watch. It was something. It was because I remember that show, but I haven't watched it in so long. So it was nice to. So now we got it saved in our thing. Now we'll be pulling up old American Gladiator shows and watching them when we want to now.
Well, there's another one I was on, Superstars.
Okay.
ABC Superstars. You should check that one out too.
I'll have to check that out.
I saw something about that, and I didn't. Man,
yeah, will definitely be, especially after seeing the lime green tights they slapped you in. We're gonna make sure we get some of that linked up to our social media so other people can enjoy that experience.
I did notice when you were lining up, the promo, you're lining up with the other people, everyone had a serious face, but for some reason, when I saw your face, it kind of like you smiled a little bit, like you broke serious character. I'm like, it would be hard for me to kind of be like, take that seriously too, but like be angry when you seem to be a joyful guy to begin with, and they said, give us an angry face. And
they seemed they were serious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They look serious for sure.
You laughed because you knew you were about to destroy that dude, didn't you? Chad?
Right,
yeah. So we can get it started off outside of your illustrious game show career we can go back to your previous football career and start us out in college a little bit. So you played for the Sooners. Give us an idea of what playing in that offense was like and how that got you ready for your NFL career.
Well, actually, I played 3 different positions before I ended up as a running back. When I was in high school, I was a quarterback. And I had 3 upperclassmen who was recruited by Oklahoma and went to Oklahoma and started. So Oklahoma knew we had players that could play in their program, but we didn't have any. I was the best player my senior year, but there were no black Division I quarterbacks in college football. So they switched me from quarterback to wide receiver. My senior year in high school, I played wide receiver. I went and had a workout with the coaches to see if I could play the position well enough for them to offer me a scholarship. So I guess I impressed somebody because they offered it to me. Now, when I was in high school, I was like 142, maybe something like that. And but I was pretty fast. Speed was my equalizer for most people. You can't hit what you can't catch.
Right.
And I came up playing sports, and we played football in the streets. And so the first time I saw a football field that was 50 yards wide and 110 yards long, I said, that's way too much room. I don't like this sport. So I go to Oklahoma, and when I played at Oklahoma, my freshman year, you couldn't play on the varsity. You had to play a freshman schedule. So we played a freshman schedule. And then my sophomore year, Oklahoma decided to change from a veer offense to the wishbone. And what happened was when you go to the wishbone has 3 backs instead of 2 backs. So you got to get somebody from another position. So they took that wide receiver position, which was the position I was playing. They made me a backup running back for Oklahoma. So I said, oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to shop around. I had 2 or 3 other colleges that had recruited me prior to going to Oklahoma. So I was going to quit, but I had to get permission from my mom. And so my mom was a beautician. She worked on Saturdays, which was her busiest day. So I called on Saturday. And so I was trying to tell her, you know how hard I worked and all of that. I'm not a second team guy. I'm a first team guy. I can play for somebody on first team. And so it got quiet on the phone. And so I asked my mom, do you hear what I said? And so she started giving me an area code and a telephone number. And I'm saying, what are you doing? She said, I'm giving you your uncle's telephone number, which was her brother. I said, why? She said, I want you to call him and tell him what you just told me, and maybe he'll pick you up. But if he do pick you up, make sure you tell him to take you to his home. You can't come because I didn't raise no quitters.
No quitters.
So I boo-hooed and I stayed. And my mom told me, it came true. She said, you're mad because you're not playing. But if you let your guard down and the opportunity comes and you're not ready, you blew that. So you make sure that you can do what you can do, be ready, because you don't never know when opportunity is gonna come. And I'm telling you, it was almost like she looking at a crystal ball. 2 weeks later, we played Iowa State, and the guy that was starting in front of me got hurt. I went in the game, and everything changed. He never got his job back. We went to the wishbone, and the wishbone is an offense that is very tough to defend, especially if the offense is real fast. Texas ran the wishbone, Alabama ran the wishbone, but their backs ran 4.5s and 4.6s and 4.7s. And then Oklahoma went to the wishbone, and their backs ran 4.4s and 4.3s and 4. So you're talking about a 10-yard gain with Texas would be like a 50-yard gain for Oklahoma. So my junior year, my junior year was my best year in college. I averaged like 9.4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I ended up with like 1,700 yards, almost 2,000 yards if you put in kickoffs and punts and all.
Greg, you were basically running almost a first down every time you touched the ball.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
great. That's amazing.
I tell you, I had a great offensive line. I could talk noise because I knew I had some guys that if you didn't watch yourself, they would hurt you.
Did you hear that, Chad? Did you hear that, Chad?
Yeah, a good offensive
great
line.
Offensive line.
Credit to offensive line.
Angel, did you not have a question about Wishbone? I thought you did.
Pretty sure I did. I actually was. We probably could get back to it, but because of the Wishbone offense, it allowed you to be successful the 2 years you were in college, and it gave you back-to-back Heisman Trophy finalist candidate.
Right.
What did that mean for you back then, and how did it prepare you for the expectations in the NFL?
Well, I mean, after my junior year, since I had a great year, and then I was run up to the Heisman twice, I knew I was going to be drafted. I thought I was going to be a first-round draft. The biggest question mark for me in college was my size.
Yeah.
But my after my senior year, my head coach, Chuck Fairbanks, got the head coach job at New England. And he had 3 first-round picks. So I knew I was going to New England. If anybody knew about my size and if I could play, would be a coach that I just played for 4 years. So I just knew I was going to New England. Well, my junior year, I took up golf. Didn't like golf. I didn't like it, but I did realize that golf, the back nine of a golf course, is a great place to hide. Because I thought I was going in the first round, and after the first round, I mean, all of these bad thoughts of, they think I'm too small to play, I might not get drafted, and I'm ducking reporters. I don't want to say anything to anybody. And then finally, a reporter found me and told me I had just been drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the second round. And it was like weight off my chest. Yeah. Guys work hard, and it doesn't happen for them. I'm glad I'm not one of those guys.
So you were drafted and someone had to tell you, so you didn't see it on the TV like they did now?
After the first round, I thought I was going in the first round. When the first round came and went, I'm now thinking this size thing, I might not get drafted at all. So I didn't want to face the music. But I picked up my clubs and went on the back nine of the golf course and was just hiding, really.
How many beers did you have on that back nine? How many beers did you have on that back nine?
No. So one more question about your college. Maybe they're going to ask another one, but I found the Wishbone. Like, how did the Wishbone offers prepare you for the NFL?
Well, offensively, it's about reading defenses. The best thing happened to me is I came to the Browns, and the next best thing was I played behind Leroy Kelly. So I learned the game from Leroy Kelly. And, when I came in, I was a big Muhammad Ali fan. So I did a lot of talking, and I did a lot of predicting. So when I came to the Browns and I met Leroy Kelly for the first time, Leroy is about 5'11", not quite 6 feet. He was about 200 pounds. And I'm looking at him and I'm saying, he's a little taller than me, a little bigger than me. I figure about 3 or 4 weeks I'll have his job. This is me talking to myself.
Hey, you know what though? Hey, Greg, you gotta be your biggest fan at that point, though. If you want things that work, man, you kind of have to have that. You gotta.
People used to tell me I was conceited. I said, no, I'm just convinced on myself.
Yeah.
I like that. Like it.
So I stopped saying what I was going to do to Leroy and start paying attention to what Leroy was doing. And listen, I wasn't a threat to Leroy at all, because he was a true teammate. When I did something wrong, he would tell me, you should have did this or you should have did that.
So definitely a great mentor. A great mentor, Greg, for sure. Yeah. Awesome.
That's a sour word this week in the Cleveland Browns realm of things.
Joe Flacco.
We're just making fun of the quarterback situation in Cleveland about Joe Flacco not being a mentor right now. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's probably one of the best things that he can contribute is he know the game. And one thing I remember, not so much college, but when I got to the pros, the game sped up. And people say, "Well, what do you mean it sped up?" I say it's like trying to cross a freeway. The thing is,
Greg, can you see my
when
shirt?
to go, when not to go. But as you play and as you get into the game and you learn how to prepare for the game starts to slow down. But it takes time.
That's a good analogy. I never heard it that way, that it speeds up like a highway. That's a very good parallel there. Speaking of speed, you had some explosive seasons with the Browns in the mid-'70s, especially during the moments of the Cardiac Kid era, which we're going to talk about here. But what was one of your most standout moments with your time in Cleveland? Can you remember one play in particular that you always go to in your memory bank?
Well, my most memorable moment was beating Chuck Fairbanks 3 times. And when I didn't get drafted by New England, I was disappointed in him not picking me. And we ended up playing New England on Thursday night and a Monday night in a regular season game. And I remember one time we wasn't having a great season, and New England was at a position where if they beat us, and they was favored to beat us, they were going to clinch a playoff position, and we went and upset them. And in that game, I was running back kickoffs, and the special team coach said that he would look at the film and see how he could get the ball to me because he knew New England was not going to kick the ball to me. So we found out that New England's kicker was he was from Europe. He was a foreign guy and he played soccer. He didn't really understand the game of football. And so our game plan was not, because I usually lined up on the left side, not to line up on the left side, to line up single file, and just before the ball, the kicker kicked the ball, I would run to the opposite side that I normally ran to, and maybe I could get the ball that way. Well, we won the toss, and we chose to accept the kick. Stood in the single file, and the kicker put his hand up, and they blew the whistle. And he took about 3 or 4 steps, and he stopped. And he called timeout. I'd never seen that. And he's walking to the sideline, and Coach Fairbanks meets him, and you can see the body language. He's upset. I don't know what they're talking about. I found out later from a GM that came here, said that Coach Fairbanks asked the kicker what was he doing. He said, "Mr. Pruitt is lining up on the wrong side." That's how he knew football. So Chuck got mad and told him, "We don't pay you to call timeout. We don't pay you to coach. Just kick the ball. So go back in and kick the ball." He kicked the ball out. I ran 88 yards for a touchdown. They never over that.
Hey Greg, awesome. what does this picture do for you? Let's see if I can pull this up here. Hold on.
That's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and
at Pittsburgh. Well, we
that's Fairbanks and Bradshaw right there.
No, that ain't fair. Is that Fairbanks?
Yeah.
You sure that ain't the head coach for? That's the head coach for.
Looks like no.
Yeah. That's Coach No. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it looks like no. Google's lied to you.
It wouldn't even show up on me, dude. That was a bummer.
That happens.
That Pittsburgh's, that Terry Bradshaw picture should have got you as well. Anyways,
speaking of Pittsburgh, since you brought up Pittsburgh, I was given a little heads up that what was it your rookie year? Was that I was told to ask something about playing Pittsburgh at the end of your rookie season. Am I remembering that correctly?
Well, as a rookie, of course, I didn't know the rivalry, between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I didn't know how serious that was. Now, I went to Oklahoma. If you said Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State is like that, then I would have know what to expect. But I think Leroy got hurt late in the game, in the Pittsburgh game. I had a couple big plays, put the ball like on the 20-yard line. We had one play left that we could run, maybe two if we could call timeout to get out of bounds. But we needed a touchdown to win, and I ran a sweep to the left with Gene Dickerson, and we won the game. Now, once we won the game, the fans just charged the field. And they were rocking the goalpost, and I'm like, what the hell? He said, we've just beat Pittsburgh, and they don't like Pittsburgh. So the old stadium, we shared it with the Indians. So we took the field through the dugout. So when the game was over, the people just rushed the field. And I said, when you got 2 or 3 people patting you on your helmet and your shoulder pads, that's cool. But when you got like 1,000, that's a mob.
Yeah. That's...
So now I'm panicking and I'm trying to find out how to get out of here. And I looked up, I saw the dugout, and I ran to the dugout. So once I got to the dugout,
I remember this story.
We had security. And so now I'm watching them, and they're trying to tear the goalposts down, and then the light came on. To me, I'm saying, man, we won this game. It's big, and I'm the hero of this game. So I actually stood in the dugout watching those people do their thing, and I was asking myself questions that I thought they might ask, and I was practicing the answers. So when I felt comfortable about the answers, I went up the dugout, ran up the tunnel, and came in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room.
That's great.
I mean, he was not happy with that.
What are you doing here?
And then and all of a sudden he got real quiet. I
said, I'm the Greg Pruitt.
My bad.
That's perfect, Greg. That actually leads us into the next question here too. What did it feel like running out of the dugout in Municipal Stadium, being a Cleveland Brown legend? What did that feel like for you, running out of that dugout every game?
Well, I tell people like this. We all got jobs, and usually we go to work on Monday. After a weekend, we don't really feel like going to work on Monday, but we go to work on Monday because that's how we make a living. That's how we feed our family. Well, football ain't different. It's just that Monday is a Sunday. And you don't always up for every game every Sunday, but you know your routine. You know what you do, the steps you take to prepare yourself, and hopefully you get the same results every Sunday. Sometimes I read my playbook, go get my ankles taped, go over my plays, listen to some music, trying to get in the mood to play that game. But I say that the thing that helped me more than anything, you'd have to be dead to come out of that tunnel and know that crowd see you and they react to you, and you don't get no. I felt like I had won the lottery, and the prize was I get to play the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, not a lot of people get to say that they get to run out of that tunnel and play that game. That's huge for you. I'm glad your mom kept your head where it was at.
Yeah.
So we got to thank her for that.
Yeah. I just realized you came from Oklahoma, correct?
Yes.
What was winters like when you were playing down there in Municipal?
Oh, that's the coldest place I've ever been in my life.
But yeah.
And that brings me to, listen, I played with the Raiders, and now we got this big thing now, or we're going to go to Brook Park, play at an indoor stadium, or we're going to stay down on the lake and play down at the lake. Well, I was kind of like, I think we should stay on the lake. The bad weather, the cold weather was a part of Cleveland Browns football. Now, last year, I got to go to Las Vegas, celebrate.
There you go. Speak it. Go ahead.
The Raiders' 45th or 50th year going to the Super Bowl. And I'm telling you, man, like me, I changed. I was wrong.
Let's go. Let's go. That is my argument, sir. That is Mr. Pruitt. That was my argument with anybody. It's like, until you leave Cleveland and go to these dome stadiums that are souped up and super nice, you'll change your mind. And you just advocated for our argument. Appreciate it.
Greg,
this is an old school mind thinking the way we think, man. That's validating.
So Sam's got
that.
Go ahead,
Greg just answered. You already looked into a crystal ball. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. What you thought about the dome? No, pro dome, no dome. So you kind of already gave that out, man. That's awesome.
I don't know what Buffalo doing.
That is
the new stadium and outside.
Right.
Buffalo was one of them spots you didn't want to play because you knew it was going to be snow.
And the architecture, what I'm hearing, it's supposed to be built to where
underneath,
so it's kind of out of the way, so the snow won't hit the stadium as much. But if you know and I know, that's an act of God, and it's going to do what it's going to want to do. You can't. I don't care what you build or how you build it. If you don't have a top on it, you're going to get snow in there. You know.
Yeah, they said that Titanic couldn't sink either, right? And what happened to that?
Sam, we'll give you the next question since Greg already answered your first one.
I'm trying to see where am I at here?
The cardiac kids section.
Cardiac kids, yeah.
Being a part of the cardiac kids era and comeback game shaped with team's identity. Is that where we're at, fellas? I was Xing things off, but I don't think that's where we're at.
What was it like being a part of the cardiac kids era? And what was it about that team that allowed you guys to be able to win those dramatic games?
We had a tremendous amount of confidence in ourselves. And, when we started coming back to beat teams, we put a lot of pressure on teams. I remember playing, I'm trying to think.
Everybody. you guys literally gave Cleveland
heart
attacks.
This team, the guys were saying ain't gonna be none of that cardiac kid shit. I want to say it was Tampa Bay, or it was one of those Florida teams. And I ran a 70 dig, went up for a pass, and we both went up and broke the ball up, and he jumped up, pointed his hand in my face, talking about this card. Ain't gonna be none of that cardiac kid shit today. We kicking y'all's ass. I said, you ain't got to put your hand in my face to talk. And he put his hand in my face again, and I hit him. And so we got into it, and I get thrown out. And he gets thrown out. And the guy that replaced him, he was a defensive back, was a rookie. And Reggie beat him on a post for a touchdown, and we beat him.
Got him.
So
instant karma.
After the game, I told Sam, I said, Sam, I expect the Browns to take care of my fine. Because you get fined for being thrown out. He said, what do you mean? I said, Coach, I don't go to sleep in the meetings. I knew that the backup to the guy that I just sacrificed myself to get out of the game was a rookie. And so this was all planned. Only pass paying for the fines. That's why I'm coming to you. I'm appealing to you. Pay my fine. And he said, really? Y'all did that? I said, Coach, I'm telling you, it was a part of a plan. He said, well, we ain't paying you fine.
It was worth the shot, though.
It was worth the shot. Yeah,
it was worth the shot.
That was good. Good train of thought there. It just didn't happen to work in your favor that day.
Quick on your feet, Greg. Quick in your mind.
Yeah.
Sam, do you want the next one? You know where we're at?
Sure. No? Yes. You were known for your quick cuts and ability to make defenders miss. Mm-hmm. What do you think made your running style so effective and unique for that era?
Playing in the streets as a kid.
Like
in small spaces, you had to make quick moves to get around guys. And
right.
I wasn't very tall. I wasn't very big. Like I said, I could run fast in every direction. And so I was pretty good at getting the guys off balance and then going the opposite way. At the end, anticipating them going to go one way and trying to make them go after the ghost.
Right. So that short area, if you go back when you go back in time, so it was a short area of the streets with
very narrow.
You already had so much room to operate. That's where you probably started honing in your craft then.
Right.
For sure. That's awesome.
And your quarterback craft as well.
Yeah.
I'll show them what hash marks are.
Yeah.
Right.
Greg, you're forever linked to the tearaway jersey. Did you know at the time how iconic that would have become?
Yeah, I hated the tearaway jersey.
I read that last night, Greg. And my quick question is: are you wearing a tearaway jersey right now?
No,
for sure. No. Okay.
No. Well, it got where like when we prepare for a team offensively, we're gonna run certain plays in certain situations, and we anticipate it based on film, defensive fronts, or how defensively teams would try to stop that. Well, they do the same thing on defense in certain situations, who gets the ball in certain situations, and a lot of times I got the ball. And so these guys, knowing that, would actually come up and tear my jersey before the play. And what made me mad was the refs would tell me I had to leave, but not throw a flag on them for sportsmanlike conduct, is what I thought.
Yeah.
Now that was one of the problems. So you get 30 seconds between every play, and the best thing that happened to me is as a quarterback playing that position. My preparation for the game was reading defenses, anticipating what defenses was going to do to stop our offense. So when I became a running back, that mindset never changed. Every play has a point of attack, and point of attack, somebody got to make a block. And sometimes that key block might not be that lineman's best block. And so that's kind of important to know that. So, cause sometimes if you're trying to get outside and that tackle is not fast enough to get outside of the defensive end, as a runner, you have to hug inside or fake inside to make that defensive end stay inside until your tackle can get it. So
Greg, I thought I heard somewhere too, like with those jerseys. I mean, they were 100% cotton. Obviously, they weren't the nylon jerseys. Right. So they would rip easier. I also heard it that like a team equipment managers would probably would use some type of spray, or they would put something on them to make the material, to weaken the material, to have
compromise the material. Yeah,
got you. Yeah, I thought I heard that. I was like, well, that's kind of crazy.
And then the other thing that a lot of people didn't know is, in order for it to work, I couldn't wear nothing under it. And because if they grab it that in the shirt, it was ineffective. So I would come out of games. You think somebody bent me over a tree and whipped me with a whip? I'd have all kind of scratches on me from guys trying to tackle me.
Yeah, because every ripped shirt, you had to go to the sideline and get a new one.
Correct? Yeah, 30 seconds. You got to run over. They be waiting with a shirt. And then I come back and they to you on two. What you mean to me on two? What
was it always you that had the most jerseys on the sideline?
They would have, they would have.
That's crazy.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Damn it, Greg. No.
And the worst part was when it got cold.
That's what I was going to ask you too. Because if you can't wear nothing else, you're under there, so they can't grab you.
That's right.
So you were out there, really out there. You were really out there in the cold.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because I've been down to that stadium and it wasn't even that cold, but I was all in my Carhartts and all that. Man, you was out there with a jersey on, and that was it.
Jersey pads.
We had heat benches that helped.
Wow.
All right. Greg, your college average yards per play from scrimmage was 8.1. All-purpose yards in college were 6,530, and you accumulated 3,122 rushing yards, 491 receiving yards, 139 yards on punt returns, 679 yards on kickoffs, and you also had 41 touchdowns. So my question is you were inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in '99, what does that honor mean to you with those stats that were honestly incredible?
Well, I had a great team. It just wasn't me. I had a great offensive line. We had a lot of confidence. Worked very hard at what we done, and that was the key. I think we know how to run an offense better than the coach knew how to run an offense. We anticipate people would, in order to stop the wishbone, they would cheat. They would overload one side if they thought we was coming to that side. And so our solution to that was audible at the line. If we saw them overloaded to the right, we would run wishbone counter. We take a step that way and go the other way. Now they don't have one more than we have. They got one short on this side. That meant that mistake cost them a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. So being out there and you guys are being field generals, you're counting the pieces and you're going, that's going to be a lot easier that way. Let's just go.
And the key to the wishbone was Jack Mildren, the quarterback. He had to be spot on. He couldn't if he left it with the fullback, that was a hole there. If he took it from the fullback, that wasn't a hole. He would go to the next guy. If it was a guy there, would pitch it. If the guy went for the pitch, he would keep it. And he was never made the mistake of holding on to it when he should have pitched it. He was always spot on.
And now you're talking split decisions real quick.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. That's
amazing. So that's over and 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 over. Again, it slows down. You know what you're going to do before you do it.
I'm going to ask one more question before we move along, because I had one question up here and I deleted it earlier. So you, as a running back, have somewhat of a defensive mind because you obviously got to read defenses as well.
Yeah, right.
I saw an interview with you said, just punt the damn ball, let the defense take care of it, set them back, let the defense go out there, run their shit, and make it happen. You get the ball back and you score.
Right.
What makes you think? I mean, obviously nowadays everything's like analytical, and I heard that you hate analytics.
Oh man, I hate
it. Hey, Greg, that makes two of us.
I was very disappointed with the Browns. We had no one defense, but we had no one defense when they wasn't tired. When the offense went out and 3 and out, and then all of a sudden the defense is on the field more than they normally are. Now you got a tired defense. That's not a number one defense anymore. So the Browns, to me, their solution to it, when you 3 and out, you got to change something to try to keep the ball and rest your defense. But if that doesn't happen, the next best thing you can do is punt the football, put a lot of real estate between that offense and that goal line, and give that defense a chance to make a play and get you the ball back.
Yeah,
I am so glad I brought that question back up. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to hear him say that again. That's all.
We opened with the Dallas Cowboys. And the one thing the Dallas Cowboys last year, the one thing that the Dallas Cowboys did well was they had a field goal kicker that was one of the best in football. So our solution to 3 and out is let's go for it on 4th down. We don't care where it's at. We got number one defense. So Dallas would get 1 first down, and this guy would kick 60 yards, 58 yards. He kicked 5 field goals. One was almost 70 yards, but it was no good because it was delayed game before he kicked the ball.
68 yards. I was at that game.
4 field goals, and they had a punt return. That's all Dallas did offensively. That's all.
But I mean, and it's simple math too. When your offense is taking, let's say 40 snaps, and the defense is taking 70 snaps, that's a big problem. Right. That's just a big problem.
We got a shocking amount of questions on what happened to the Browns defense last year, and I feel like you just
hit
laid out the
head.
answer. People are like, how?
Every player, whether he on the offensive side or ball defensive side, he know exactly what's going on. People ask me, you know how many yards you got? I don't know how many yards I got. Man, I ain't into that. I knew to the inch how many yards I had all the time. And the defense knows how many yards they're giving up, or statistically what you're making them look worse than what they are. So now all of a sudden you got a morale problem, and it's like a wildfire. Once you start having other problems, then you trying to save your season, not get to a playoff. You just trying to be respectable.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
So, Greg, we talked a little bit about some of the era that you played in with the Browns specifically, and I know that you had an incredible career, but you also played with some other guys that we consider Browns legends. Is there anybody that was teammates with you that just stood out specifically? And then also, was there anybody that you kind of stayed in touch with after your Browns career, or maybe still stay in touch with?
It's ironic you say that. I talked to Joe Jones yesterday. He's down in Florida. I hadn't talked to him in like 3 or 4 years, but we try to, like we're doing here, we try to do that with a lot of the players. Get on the phone and talk crap, or collectively try to remember people's names.
Yeah.
It's funny with 7 guys. What's that guy's name? I don't know.
Yeah.
Greg, I struggle with that now.
Yeah, but it gets worse. I got bad news.
It's funny too, because I'll do that sometimes with friends of mine. We'll be like, "Man, what was that one dude, man? We used to when he walked, that one hand would do something weird." That's how you describe another person. You're like, "Yeah, oh, dude, that was Mark. That was Mark, or who not?" You know? Yeah, that's funny.
Greg, looking at the landscape of the NFL today, as far as running backs, because that's your position, what running back today reminds you of your playing style?
Whoa.
You never been asked that?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Hey, you got a man. Whoa.
Today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think.
I can't think off the top of my head.
I've seen you move. I've seen you juke. I've seen it all. And there is somebody that could come to mind. Is there anybody that you guys could put on him that you would imagine would be like him today? Watching highlights.
Very good question.
Shoot. Yes, I just wrote his name down because I'm doing
I'm gonna say it.
Study.
Finally stumped him. Finally got him.
I was gonna say Travis Etienne.
Saquon Barkley, but not the aerobatic crap that he did last year. I think you got that hardcore rundown.
Oh, I got it. Bucky Irving.
You could just Bucky Irving?
Bucky Irving from Tampa. Shifty, fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna write these names down and Google all these guys.
Yeah, Bucky Irving. He's a rookie last year.
The next time we talk, I won't say, I agree.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I was thinking I'm actually doing a study on their running backs, Tampa's running backs, because a quarterback we have affiliated with him down there in Tampa. But anyways, Bucky Irving, when I was watching him, I kind of reminded me of you a little bit. Now, I could be wrong, and that's fine. You won't offend me if you say that Angel Kid's crazy comparing me to this loser. But
I think the safe thing to say is just nobody in the NFL run like Greg Pruitt.
Yeah, he's special. True.
Nobody.
There you go. Yeah. Nobody's jerseys tore away like mine. No, I'm kidding.
All right,
Sam, you got the did you see that text?
No,
the Super Bowl question.
Hey, Mike's just going to keep setting Sam up. Mike's just going to keep setting Sam up for strikeouts.
Well, I got lost on the last one because because I seen where we were at. I was checking everything off, but when we talk cardiac kids, I automatically think Brian Sipe. So I didn't know if I was supposed to go to Sipe question or
he zoned out.
My brain went.
He zoned out.
Yep.
But, Super Bowl question. It's like the second to last, third to last.
Well, I say this about if we were playing sandlot football and we were picking guys to be on our team, nobody would pick him because he just didn't look like a quarterback. He was Brian was very patient. He would take what you would give him. He would make you become what's the word? Impatient, and he would make you pay for it. Sometimes his bombs would be like the ball would be 30 yards in the air and the guy would run the rest of it. But at the next day it would be a 70-yard touchdown pass. Nobody says how much of it was a run and how much of it was he caught the ball. But
unlike today, though, you are one of those running backs too that are
he's very cool, calm, and collective. He never panicked, and he just called the next guy up. We were not nervous about where we were in the game and if we would win the game. We just didn't know who was going to make the play to win the game. It was kind of crazy the confidence that we had in during the year that we were cardiac kids.
And that was just it. You guys literally were the cardiac kids because Brian Sipe and people like you and Brian Sipe and others literally at the end of the game said, "You think you got this, but we're the comeback kids."
Yeah.
Honestly, we've been waiting for that kind of quarterback attitude too.
With the Raiders that was our best shot at winning it all. We were better than the Raiders. We had the Raiders beat, and we kind of went brain dead for a second, and it cost us because we needed a field goal to win the game, and we tried to throw a touchdown for 4 points we didn't need, and they made us pay for it. 2 years later, I'm with the Raiders, and basically basically the same team that we lost to in Red Right '88, and having the experience of going to the Super Bowl, I can say that we were a better team than them. My championship team with the Raiders, the Browns were a better team.
Yeah, I'd love to think the best team wins it every time, but
sometimes
it's
you just
tough to get through every playoff game.
Stinks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was the next question, to be honest. But since we're on that, do you legitimately think that there is a Browns curse? Because you obviously still are in Cleveland. That is a big talk around town. It's just the Cleveland curse. Obviously, the Cavs broke the curse, but when will the Browns do it?
Oh, I don't know. I think their biggest nemesis, and I always say this, that you're only as good as the 11 guys you put out there. Your 11 got to be better than their 11. And for whatever reason, if you can't maintain that, then you got to get lucky to be able to win despite that. But I thought last year, a tough position for the Browns was the offensive line. You couldn't keep people healthy. Then you got to move guys around, and the defense in the defensive meetings, they know those moves. They know what guy to pick on, and their stunts is geared to see whether or not that guy can pick up those stunts. And we run what we call supposedly RPO. RPO stands
run
for
pass option.
Pass option. And when you don't make a commitment to the run, that defense know you ain't made a commitment to the run. What you running is not what you think you running. And so they're gonna play the pass. And if you beat them, you're gonna beat them with the run because you haven't showed them that you're gonna make a real good effort to run the football. And that's what I thought. I thought they didn't make the commitment for one to set up the other.
So, Greg, I'm going to come over. We're going to have a beer, and we're going to talk about this offensive line one day.
All right.
Before we let you go, I want to ask you, what do you think about the current running back room for the Cleveland Browns?
Hold on, wait 1 second. The Tuscarawas Browns backers got Stump Mitchell in his basement. We're keeping Greg here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny last week.
Sorry.
Yes. What is your take on the two rookies that they drafted? And I think we often forget that we do also have Jerome Ford, who averaged about 4.8 yards a carry last year.
Well, Ford is going to be the guy that's going to have to help the other guys along, because right now for those guys, it's running pretty fast. And the next best thing that the Browns got is Flacco. Flacco can teach these quarterbacks how to play the game. And I think that's the biggest. How he plays is going to play a big part on how successful we are. Now, you kind of fall into a situation where you got young guys and you got Flacco, and Flacco is at the end of his career, not in the middle, not the beginning. He's at the end. So how well can he teach these guys that can step in once he's gone? And you got to also, again, they got to address the offensive line, stay healthy. Because if you get Flacco hurt, we are up.
Yeah.
What a creek without a path.
Yeah.
So, Greg, you as a phenomenal running back, how much faith do you put in your offensive line when you were a running back?
A lot.
To create your holes and everything else.
A lot. Again, you got to know your offense. You got to know your defense. You got to always know that every play has a point of attack. You got to know who's going to make that key block. Is that one of the blocks he can make? Is that one of the blocks he struggle with? Is that one of the blocks he can't make? And that all dictate on how you get off the ball. Do you hit it fast? Do you kind of float along, waiting for the defensive to go one side or the other? You do everything you can to try to help that guy make that block.
So with last year's left tackle struggles, would you have run the ball up to left at all? Or would you try to, what would you have done with that? I would have did
something to help the left tackle. You can't, defense pick up on it. You still got to run left, but you just got to be creative to where you can give him help.
I think what we missed out a lot too was that pulling guard last year, man. Yeah. You get like Teller out there pulling out and being a bowling ball, and then it gives that guy an opportunity to go ahead and then hit that speed when it's time to hit it. Like you said, sometimes it's a finesse thing. So when you're watching a play develop, sometimes it's either you already know how, like you said, Greg, I'm going to hit this one fast. I'm going all out. Or sometimes it's a finesse. Where you're almost kind of like pacing, and then you're like, now it's go. So, yeah.
Well, I tell you, I give you, we played the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was back up. Leroy was starting, and I remember in the meetings prior to playing the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm trying to think of the middle linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs. He in the Hall of Fame. Oh, Lordy. I'll say it before we get off here. But in the meetings, they were saying, you can't do this and you can't do that. He read this and he'll read that. And I'm saying over there, that's Leroy's problem. I'm not playing. So we go to the game, and Leroy gets hurt. And now I am in the game. Now I'm trying to remember all the stuff that they were saying in the meetings, and I'm going into the game. So I go into the game, and the first play they call is 22 trap. Willie Lanier, that was the linebacker. Willie Lanier. I said, they trying to kill me. My first play gonna be at Lanier. I thought you want to run away from Lanier. So anyway, so now I'm all this stuff is going through my mind. I guess in the 3-point stand is 22 trap. And I peep up at Lanier when he's looking at me. I put my head back down, and I hear in my mind they say he'll you can't tip the play. He'll go for any play. So I start leaning to my left, and I peep up to see if Lanier is looking. He shakes his head, no. He tackled me for a 4-yard loss.
Did he do one of these?
Yeah, that's right.
Like a Matumbo.
So I go to the sideline, and Leroy meets me. Leroy say, "Greg, would you go to sleep in the meetings or something?" He don't know I did go to sleep in the meetings. He said that's 22 trap. And when the trap guy is a all-pro like Willie Lanier, he's not going to get trapped. He's going to attack the trap. So when he attacks the trap, he creates a back door. So 22 becomes 21. So I run, and you can Google 22 trap on my highlight film. The next play, if they could have did a close-up, I go 88 yards, my mouth is wide open. I can't believe that little adjustment that he just told me worked so great.
That's awesome.
It's important to have a savvy vet like that to kind of coach you through. So that's a good, valid point.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Man,
that's awesome. It was, and it's that piece of knowledge right there. He's like, look, man, check it. You got it. Right. Now you know, and bam, and then bam. But like you said, you were like, not my problem. But then it was, and then you had to figure.
Lesson learned. Lesson learned for all the fans who are tracking quarterback throws and OTAs, and we can't see anything that happens in the meetings.
Right.
That what happens in the meetings is in fact somewhat important.
Yeah,
according to
that just
recent
that just
reports.
goes to show It goes to show, man, having great teammates to have your back like that, man, will really get you going where you got to be at. That's awesome.
If you want to hear more from this legend, you can meet him on June 21st. My apologies. The Legends Bowling Meet and Greet down at Wash Bosh Lanes in New Philadelphia, Ohio. That's going to be put on by the Tuscarawas Browns backers and TMDE Sports. He's going to be there along with other Browns players, and a couple more local celebrities, sports celebrities. They're going to be signing autographs, taking pictures. You can talk with them, ask them whatever question you have on your mind. He will obviously answer them for you. Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it. And shout out to the Tuscarawas Browns backers for getting us a hold of you, because they were our middleman. So shout out to you guys for that. We enjoyed you, Greg Pruitt.
Hey, thank you guys. I look forward to bowling. I'm going to give lessons on what not to do with the bowling ball.
I will be right next to you doing this. I will be right next to you doing the same thing, because I'm not good.
I told these guys my lane's going to have them bumpers up.
I got those. Matter of fact, that's the life hack is bring your kids and say, hey, my kids need those bumpers. In reality, you need the bumpers.
Absolutely.
Just blame it on your kids.
Yeah.
But Greg, we'll see you there. We're going to be down there.
All right, I look forward to it, guys. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Thanks,
Greg, we're going to have you on again
Browns.
soon, man. That was awesome. More fun, dude.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Later. Wow.
Awesome. That was awesome.
This is all messed up right now. I don't know what's going on, but
Life's just
the
flipping
Cleveland
us
Browns
around
legend.
like.
I don't see it. I don't see anything getting flipped around. But that was awesome, guys. A Cleveland legend there, right there with us.
Literally,
to be able to talk
in the Cleveland, in the Browns legend.
Yeah.
Rich says, "Stuff is still in my basement."
Yeah, see that.
Yeah, a lot of good stories. I do remember the story that he brought up about the Pittsburgh game, because Barry told us on our show when he first came on. That was one of our first Barry interviews. That's when he was talking about the crowd. I was like, oh, I remember this one.
Okay.
That's
he
actually a
messaged
really
me.
good
He's
story.
like, don't forget about that story. And I don't even know if I remember that, if I was around yet. But I was like,
yeah,
I'll
was just
try
me
to
and
remember to bring it up.
Yeah, it was like that was something weird too when we were talking about the tearaway jerseys, and I heard something about them spraying some type of chemical on there to make that material weaken the material, so it did happen more often. So you could get, sometimes that worked to his advantage. But he was tired of it. He was tired of it.
Yeah, he was over it. He's like, come on, guys, it's too cold in this municipal stadium to be.
He breaks away for an extra 9 yards, and then he has to run 45 yards to the sideline to get a new jersey and right back.
Come back and run a go route.
Right.
No, that was fun. He's got some pretty fun stories from that era.
We're gonna have to have him on again for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like all those the legends, man. I like to get as much on as possible, because I think there's so much history there of winning, for one.
It's nice to hear about Browns football when it was still fun.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So it helps. It definitely helps.
It does.
And it brings back some memories too, because I was watching some of those games growing up, in the early 80s. I was born into the Browns. But I remember how municipal, because like he said, it was baseball and football. And then there would be rain, and them guys would be a muddy mess, man, because it wasn't all grass, because you still had the baseball diamond
pattern, like still.
Yeah, and you could still see it. Yeah. And them guys would be a mess, man.
I remember Paul Warfield and somebody else drawing plays in the sand, like drawing up plays. There's a picture of it. I forget who the other guy was, but they were drawing up plays in the sand, like, just let's do this. We're going to make this work.
Yeah, that's back in the day, man. They shared stadiums, man. There was quite a few of them that did that.
Right. Yeah, there was. I was gonna say there's a handful, and I still think that's crazy in today's era. Like that was ever a thing, given how everybody has their own specialized stadium now. But
right.
Greg brought up some cool points. First of all, he highlighted what we've been trying to tell Mike for months now that the offensive line
the
is
lines
important.
important. Like Mike, come on, get on board now.
No, you didn't.
Finally,
Mike,
we get
get
somebody
on
to
board.
confirm it for us.
Get on board, Mike. When are you gonna get on board with the offensive line?
I was gonna call out Chad during all that, but nope.
I
Chad
played on the offensive. I understand the offensive line is important. Mike always thinks like I hate offensive linemen just because I blame a lot of the problems on injuries last year.
I get it. There were injuries for sure.
But
He
yeah,
also-
like offensive line stunk and it changed everything. This year, every interview I hear, whether it's from the coach, from Batonio, from some of the running backs, like I'm just not expecting the same thing. I'm expecting old scheme, healthier players, more consistency. Anything could change or go wrong with, you never know where injuries are coming, but like everything about last year's offensive line play will somehow be a little bit better this year. And man, that is just how many times he brought up the line. It's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring up James Frank comment. Is Mike still mad that Jed Wills is not playing this year?
Yeah.
And James, I know damn well you've seen that reel yesterday.
Straight up, Mike is putting out comments like, this guy's got to be cut. And I'm like, dude, he's not even on our team anymore. He's like,
I was at work. Listen, I was at work and I was like mad because Angel sent me the thing and I was like, man, what? And I started commenting to Chad and Angel. And it just went south. And Chad's like, he's not even on the team, dude. I'm like,
Mike
that's right. I'm sorry.
Mike was like,
about this. I'm like, he's not even with us anymore.
Yeah, Mike's like, sign him to a 1-year deal, then cut him. That's what he wanted to do.
Well, no, what I really meant to say is hopefully AB doesn't make another stupid decision and re-sign
AB
him.
needs to do something. I'm like, I think AB not doing anything is the happiest
best.
you could have been. Yeah.
But speaking of
what I
offense,
meant.
Speaking of offensive line, Joe Patonia kind of spoke on what they're going to go back to the 2021 season of the pin and pull and running obviously ahead time, running more obviously. And if you guys want cool stats about that, I can share them with you. Sure, why not, Angel? Oh, you guys are great. Thank you. I'm so prepared for this. I'm so prepared. In 2021, let me tell you something. There were 922 play calls in 2020-21 season. 501 of those were pass attempts. 421 of those were rushing attempts. How ironic, how close that is. When people say he's passing too much. But when you look at the numbers, it's closer than what they thought. Baker had 486 attempts of those 501. The rest was sprinkled through Landry. Casey Keenum had 5, and OBJ had 1. Had 31 pass attempts per game. 198 attempts, 841 yards, 6 touchdowns. Chubb had 190 attempts, 1,067 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And guess who can guess the third running back that year? I'll give you a clue. Everyone was high on him. He was on the fishing boats. They called him. He was an undrafted free agent.
Kareem Hunt?
No.
I thought it was Duke Johnson that year, but
Ernest Johnson.
Ernest
Johnson. Yes, he had 33 attempts for 166 yards. So they averaged 26 attempts per game. So that's what the offense looked like, what the Joe Bertoni offense that he brought up in his interview yesterday.
We know that offense did not have great quarterback play because that was not a year that Baker was very good because of the injury. He didn't just get bad, but that was a year where he struggled. And so,
and they went 11-5 that year.
Yeah.
And the offense was top 15, defense was top 5. So that helps. The point is this: if you look at the roster, then Hunt, Chubb, Dearness Johnson, you have 3 capable running backs that are comparable to that currently: Junkins, Sampson, and Ford. So if you can mimic exactly that type of play calling this year, where you limit the throws and you I would even increase the attempts rushing, passing a little more. But I think they can be successful.
Yeah. So just so there's no confusion, in 2020, Baker that was probably his best year as a Brown. But that same offense didn't change until they made the switch at quarterback. And in
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, when Baker was hurt, like the Browns could have plummeted to the just absolute bottom offense in the league, and they weren't great. But the idea was they still had some balance, they still had some ability to run the ball, and I just think we've talked about it a few times, but on this team, whether or not you're going to be just run heavy, because Joe Flacco could throw the ball, we know that, and I actually think some of these other guys are accurate enough and can play enough to dish the ball. But if you can establish a running game and you can take this revamped line scheme and you can take these very young, very energetic, very dynamic, and very different running backs, and you can go back to like a base of a running scheme with the quarterback questions, you can help them out so much just by giving them a little bit of relief and just causing the defense to need to recognize the run game, which Greg Pruitt said immediately. One of the first things he said in those.
What do you say? What do you say? What do you say?
The defense has to be threatened by the run, or they're not, or you're not going to be able to pass on them. And unless you have a superstar like Patrick Mahomes, that usually tends to be the case. If they're not worried at all about the run, they just change their scheme.
Chad wants to punch me in the face so bad right now.
No, I make fun of you because I think you have this unique idea that the Browns linemen need to be good. Like, that's not unique to you or anyone in Cleveland. Like, we all know the line is like the trenches, man. It
was in shambles, but we've always been a top. So I argue with a buddy of mine. Excuse me. His name is Mike as well. I argue with him frequently. He's like the Browns offensive line sucks.
Is he your imaginary friend, Mike and Mike?
Yes, he's right. Last year, the Browns offensive line sucked, and
he says we've always sucked.
No,
that's why I'm like, dude, we've had one of the top 5 defensive lines the last decade. What are you?
We did always
maybe beyond
like
that
2000 until like 2000 in the and into the teens.
Whenever Kevin came on board,
pretty good, and then we added guys like Batonio, we had Joe Thomas, and then we had Schwartz on the other side. From that era on, we've always had at least a decent line or better. And I think people are just haunted by the Browns in 2001, watching Tim Couch get sacked 68 times. Like that's a different
Was it really 68 era? Or did you just make that number up?
I made that number up.
It felt like that. Probably felt like that.
It was probably pretty close.
Over under, 68 and a half over under. I don't know. But like I think people are still like haunted by that first like decade of Browns football where the line was just as bad as could be and quarterbacks were getting killed and never stood a chance. I still wonder, could Tim Couch have played football?
Oh, I'm sure he
could
have
just not been behind that line for a couple of years.
No, I agree. Add on to what I was saying in 2020. Baker, it's one of Baker's better years. He had 3,563 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's a 5-to-1 touchdown. 5-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. If you can get that out of whatever quarterback is playing.
We've been talking about, like, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody with a 2-to-1 ratio the last couple of years? Like, what if somebody just had a 2 touchdown to 1 interception ratio?
Yeah, and that was his best touchdown to touchdown interception ratio that year. Actually, last year was against his first year in Tampa was close to 5-to-1. So, if you get a quarterback that can do that, whether it's Flacco, Pickett, Sanders, or Dillon, you can win. You just have to limit their throws. 30 attempts a game is what Kevin should be looking at, and increase that run a little bit.
I agree.
Sorry, I had to drop some analytics for you guys.
I wish I believed any of these guys were a young Baker Mayfield. But if by some miracle we get that kind of play, they're set up for being a bit better than we've been able to see. And he's right. Like, you run the ball, you pass strategically, you try not to turn the ball over. And we have a defense in place that can play some football, but they're not going to be good if the Browns can't find a way to control the ball and stay on the field.
Yeah, I sent you guys that graph that I did. Hopefully we'll share it later on in the year. That interception to touchdown ratio is just huge. It's dramatic.
Even the first couple of years, it wasn't terrible. Like, our turnover ratio was like around 0, but then it was like in the negatives, -4, -5, and you never want to be negative. But last year, like, that plummet,
-22,
like -20 something. Oh,
it's -22. Dude, when because I
can't win that way.
Yeah, I do.
No team can win that way.
Yeah, I always do random studies like that in general. So I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, I got to make this graph and send it to the guys. This is insane. But so I think that's the focus. And I think obviously Joe Batonio pointed out, he said, we have to take care of the ball. We're going to roll back to this scheme in 2020, 2021. And we're just going to run the ball, take care of it, watch. And they know they threw too many interceptions. This is what worries me about Flacco. And maybe coming into the system, if he's the starter, he can dummy it his arm down a little bit, where they're not putting too much pressure on him to throw and make plays, but him being smart enough to dissect the defense and throw where he needs to throw.
Absolutely, and that's all to be untold as of right now. Nobody knows who the starting quarterback is going to be, but hopefully they pick the right guy this year. Angel, don't even say it.
I'm worried about all of them. I'm worried about every one of them.
I'm worried about all of them. I don't care who it is. I am worried. I'm interested.
As a Cleveland fan, there's skepticism here all around.
Yeah,
that goes without saying. Right.
We got a third rounder, a fifth rounder, a failed first rounder, and a successful first rounder. But that was 10 years ago. And
10. Oh yeah, you're about right. Yeah,
about 10.
Wow,
I mean, that
decade is a long
for the
time.
Ravens. He's been gone from there for so long, and I think I heard Mary Kay was the one that said he hasn't had a winning record for like the last 7 seasons or something. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a long. We like him, but like that's also not your best scenario for putting together an offense. But
could be. We'll see. He knows the offense. That's a plus on his side right now. So we'll see.
So before we shut things down, you guys got any other notes since we were talking with Greg and hitting the running back stuff? Do you guys have any other notes on the running back situation?
We could talk about the return of Nick Chubb is very unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm surprised he hasn't been. It's June 1st. I'm surprised the team.
I don't count anything out because who knows? Somebody gets hurt or something, and they're like, oh, well, there opens up a spot for him, and I'm sure he'd love to be back. But yeah, I think we've been talking about since those 2 rookies came in. I mean, I thought he had a really good shot to come back, literally until I saw them pick Dylan Sampson, and I was like, 2 really good rookies along with the 2 younger veterans they have behind them probably closes that door. I have been hearing some pretty good stuff about QJ's performances in practice. He looks apparently, and it's not live stuff, but apparently he looks really smooth. He's picking up the offense well, and people are kind of confirming that his running style is going to be one that fits what the Browns' offensive line does really well.
Sorry, Sam, read that comment that's up there.
James Frank, did y'all see the video of Chubb working out to Shedeur Sanders' Perfect Timing song? I did not. No, I did not.
Yeah, I mean, somebody could have dubbed that over the video, not necessarily.
Probably. I think more likely, but
somebody could just put it over there.
Hey, if you guys notice that little gentleman down there in the picture, that's Hayden, the guy that Sam and I had on the show last week. That's his mom, Nicole. Thank you again for having him on. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Hayden. That was a good little interview. Kid's going to be a star.
Yeah. Junior Brown's backer. He's a mega fan. That kid, man, that was awesome. But unfortunately, Nick Chubb, the return of Nick Chubb, like you said, Chad, there's a possibility, but it's probably unlikely at this point.
Like something crazy would have to happen, right? It's not in the cards unless somebody
gets hurt. I mean, what if somebody goes down in training camp and they don't know they're not going to have him for 3 weeks or 4 weeks going into the season? That might be somewhere. And if no other team has made an offer to Nick Chubb, then that's when you get on the phone.
I will be blown away if Chubb doesn't end up on a squad. My question would be, though, does somebody wait to sign him until summer, until real training camp is something that would not shock me. But I don't even see the Kareem Hunt situation because the difference between him and Hunt is he had a really bad year last year, but they're going to have him come in and try out. They're going to have him do the medicals, all that stuff. The difference was people were sure that Hunt was probably done, and he also had some other question marks along the way. Whereas, like, I think Chubb has just been like a ideal citizen in every way. I think the entire league respects him, like not on the field, but also just as a guy. And it's just going to be a matter of like which team is like, we got some space in this running back room. Let's make an impact. It's probably going to be somebody who's really pushing to make a make a run. Never count out the idea that people have already talked to his agent, and he's just waiting for his right situation too. We always count it as like this guy's on the sidelines, so nobody must want him. But he's healthy. I mean, we've seen the videos. It's not just him lifting weights. He's jumping. He's running. He's healthy. It may be a matter of him waiting for a situation where he thinks he can really show it off and succeed.
because I doubt he wants to play one more year. I bet he wants to play a couple more, and he wants to swing a 1-year deal into another 3-year contract and really come back.
Yeah, just like Nicole just said, I really believe he just wants to stay with the Browns. I believe that he's one of those guys that started his career here and wants to end it here, just like a Joe Thomas type deal. I believe that'd be great, but unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Fortunate for the Browns that they end up drafting a guy from Ohio State, because that kind of takes away the sting a little bit, right? You know, if it was any other quarter running back, I think fans will still be kind of like hurt or pining for him, but having Junkins back there kind of like soothes the pain a little bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far just because we don't know yet.
Oh,
a lot of people loved them some Cam Scattaboo, but outside of that first round, I do think the 2 Ohio State running backs were the two that would have people can get excited enough about and were exposed enough to say like, okay, but we'll see how they perform. Like I said, they're 2 very different running backs, and they both are looked at, I think, pretty highly throughout college and into the league.
Sam was high on Scattaboo.
Yeah, I was. A lot of Browns fans were. I can't wait to see how he does. I want to see how Genty does. I mean, I want to see how these guys, how they're going to perform here in the NFL, man.
Sam was like high as Scattaboo as Angel is on Pickett.
Yeah. That's facts.
That's facts. I'll go with that. Man. He was
higher than me on both players.
The fire hydrant with legs, man.
All right.
I really can't wait to see how Dylan Sampson is going to be plugged in too, man. So I know that's going to be. My vision is seeing Junkins getting in there and getting them hard runs and wearing guys out, and then he needs to take a breather, and then the next thing you know, you're like Dylan comes in, and he does a couple little. Boop, boop, boop.
We talked to Greg Pruitt.
Oh, there you go.
What player might have your running style? And ironically, I think Dylan Sampson might be one of those guys.
Yeah.
Should probably be watching some Greg Pruitt highlight film and saying like, okay, how do I do this? But he's got a lot of quickness, direction change. He's going to be a fun one to watch. And when you got like a juggernaut kind of like carry the load back, and then your second guy, we assume, even forward too, your next guy is like a shifty, quick, agile back. I think that's pretty dangerous.
Yes, actually, Ian said the perfect comment. We do have to go. I got to put some kids to bed. It is 9:00. My kids, not Kenny Pickett. But either way, you guys, thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like all our social medias, follow us, download all our podcasts wherever you listen to us on. Thank you for following us and keeping the chat lively tonight. Thank you for Greg Pruitt for coming on.
Why is it censoring my peace sign?
Yeah,
so 2 days, guys. 2 days. We have a big announcement coming up.
Yes.
Be here,
so
be
stay
square.
tuned. All right. Go Browns.
Yeah. Go Browns.
Well, go Browns.
Browns.
Go Browns.